Uh, Good? Already? Okay, great.
The Gossip Wine Podcast.
Hey everyone, this is the Gossip One podcast, and today we have a really amazing guest, Stewart. Hi, Stewart.
Hi, how are
How are
you?
you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing awesome, thanks, and it's wonderful to be here. Thanks so much for having me on.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
we
finding time. Yeah.
Yeah, for
accept you.
sure. I mean, that's a trouble at the moment finding time. There's always something. There's always deadlines and
Right.
everything. But yeah, I'm glad we could make this happen. It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's really awesome. And I know Stewart, well, actually, under weird circumstances. I moved to Portugal, and you, Stewart, as I remember, have the Nomad platform. And I
Yeah,
know it based in Lisbon, but like maybe elsewhere. Would you tell us a bit more about that?
yeah. I mean, that was
Yes.
that was a while back now, thanks to COVID. Yeah, basically, I've been a nomad for like the last 5 years. I was actually moving from country to country every week at that point. It worked out on average every 5 days. I was in a different country.
Dang.
And yeah, it was kind of crazy. I started off with a suitcase and a backpack, and then eventually they lost my suitcase. And so I just carried on with a backpack. My whole life was in a backpack. It was awesome.
Wow.
Now, my amazing friend and co-founder of Badass Empire, Victoria Loskatova, she was living in Lisbon. She also lived in Esprogende, which is just north of Porto. And so I used to bounce into Lisbon quite regularly so that we could work on stuff. And also I went to Lisbon for like Web Summit and all of these big events where I was speaking. Um,
The Nomad thing is like a program or is just something that you chose to do?
so yeah, basically what happened was, I had a big trauma in my life, and
Hmm.
after that, I realized that you gotta stop living life according to what society tells you. You gotta live life based on your rules. You gotta do what you want to do, like every damn minute. Not even every day,
Hmm.
every and so I changed my entire life, like in the space of 2 weeks, 180 degrees, absolute 180 degrees. Had a three-bedroom house, had the big car, I was married, I, had the cats, the huge garden, the whole thing, but it wasn't what I wanted. And so I changed everything. And, the big house and all the contents that went, everything went to recycling or charity. And I
Hmm.
packed my bags and I started traveling. And I've done so many incredible, amazing things, and that's by design, because that's what we only get one life. It doesn't last very long, and so you got to make the most of it. I've been reminded of that again today. A dear friend of mine passed today, and
Oh, sorry to hear that.
under really weird circumstances. And it's a reminder when these things happen that you've got to take life by the balls, and just like do what you want to do every single damn day, because it's can be over like that, and you just have to like really really do what you want to do, and not just follow what society tells you to do.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. That's pretty cool, man. Like I never thought of doing something like that. Maybe it's in my future. It's,
Yeah,
Well, I'm like, I'm not moving to every country every 5 days, but I'm a little bit closer there. But like, anyways, speaking of countries, how many countries then you've been to so far?
well, so far 86. So I have a way to go yet to hit my goal.
what's
Dang.
your goal?
I've got this really weirdly specific bucket list for, like most people's bucket lists to like jump out of a plane or run a marathon. Well,
Uh-huh.
I've done those, so I can't really put those on my bucket list. So,
Okay, okay.
I've got weird things. I've got like, I want to date Taylor Swift and then dump her so she writes a song about me.
That's the spirit, man. That's the spirit. Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
I want to make enough money to have Morgan Freeman follow me around and narrate my life in real time.
Oh,
Um,
I love it. I love your energy. I love that.
and I want to party all night in 166 countries, and I've done 86 so far. So I've got another 80 to go.
yeah,
Oh
that's amazing.
wow.
Wow. Like, okay, which is your favorite country so far? Like, wow.
Um, that's really difficult to answer because even though different places have their own energy and they have their own amazing cultures and
Right.
obviously they have their own views and landmarks and everything is amazing. The reality is it's never really been about the place apart from ticking off the 166 party all night thing. It's never about the place, it's about the people. I go to these places because either people want me to come and speak at an event that is there, or because I have friends there. And I'm blessed to have like thousands of friends all over the world. And
Yes.
it's always about them and not about where they are.
Really.
And that's good. It's like you meet people in network when you're going out, right? In these countries too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. I when I go to different countries, I try to meet people and like, hey, hey, bro, can I come back here? You show me some of this that I haven't seen this time. So that's pretty cool. I respect that.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
But like at
And
some point, like this year, I hit 30, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna invite all the friends around. But since they're all over the globe, this pandemic made it hella difficult. Like no one came because the restrictions and
yeah.
everything. But at the
Yeah.
same time, like whenever like I go, I can either have someone there, to guide me or whatever, or like even place to crash. Or yeah, once you meet someone there, and like it's always associates with that. And yeah, I totally agree. But speaking of which, where did you live longer while you were like traveling within like this 86 countries besides your native country?
Yeah, probably the place I stayed the longest would have been Marrakesh. Um,
Marrakesh.
so there was this opportunity to go to Marrakesh, to stay with my spiritual advisor there, and it just happened to be over the holidays. So even though I don't celebrate Christmas, I had Christmas and New Year in Marrakesh. So I was actually there for like 3.5 weeks.
Okay.
Mm,
So that's a long time for me. But it didn't really affect the average too much because the average 5 days, it might have been like 7 days in one place, or it might have been like 2 days or one day in another. I mean, there was this one crazy time when I'd gone to London for an event, and then I flew to Bali for 3 days for an event, and then I flew to Moscow for 4 days for an event, and then it was like San Francisco, Los Angeles, Nashville, New York, and then Lisbon for
Wow,
Web
that's
Summit.
like literally like all
Yeah,
over.
circum
like
Because I think flights sometimes take
circumnavigate the
longer,
globe.
than you actually spend time there, like back and forth flights. I mean,
it was kind of insane. Like all of those places in the space of just under 4 weeks. It was a little bit crazy, but it's okay. It was fun. I wished I'd stayed in Bali longer than 3 days, but other than that, I love Moscow so much, and my former publication venture, they are headquartered in San Francisco, so I was there to MC one of their events.
Oh,
LA, you know, so many friends in LA, I just couldn't. When I'm in San Francisco, if I have the time, I cannot possibly not go to LA to see my friends. And then Nashville
that's
was another event, New York was another event, and then Lisbon was Web Summit, of course.
right.
And yeah, after Lisbon, I went on to Riga for another event, and so on and so forth. I mean, it was just bouncing from stage to stage, after party to after party. It was great.
Nice. I'm a little
that's
bit
so
jealous, a
cool,
little bit
man.
at this point, especially after like we cannot actually travel that much these days. I was like, but
I
yeah.
know, right? I mean, I've actually, for the first time, got a base in 5 years. So, I'm here and I'm actually paying rent in Berlin, which is an interesting experience. I feel like an adult. It's great. Um,
So
and
you're in Lisbon now?
no, in Berlin now.
Berlin. Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm paying rent in Berlin. I've been here since August because, of course, can't
Mm,
travel at the moment. Before, uh, I was in Barcelona really at the very start of all of this.
Hmm.
And then came to Berlin for one night just to go to Bergheim with my friends, and then went to Austin. And then I nearly got stuck in Austin because that's when it really took hold. All the flights were getting cancelled, countries were shutting their borders. I needed to get back to the UK because I wanted free healthcare if I got ill. And
Yeah.
so it took me 27 hours and 3 flights to get back to the UK to get to my sister's house. My sister and my brother-in-law were very, very, very gracious to me and let me stay with them for weeks. Then I
Mm.
went and stayed with Victoria in Esposende. I went and did Greek islands for a few days, and then when I got to Berlin, I just knew, even though I was supposed to go to Vienna, I was supposed to go to Riga, supposed to go to Helsinki, I got to Berlin, and I've been coming here for like 15 years on and off, and
Mm.
it's always been trying to capture me. It's always been trying to steal my heart, and just knew this time that I had to stay. So I'm not saying my nomad days are completely over, but what I am saying is that this is my base now, and if I travel around to see people, I'm gonna still have a home to come back to. I'm still a
Yes.
minimalist, though, still a huge minimalist. I haven't bought that many extra clothes. My entire life can fit into 1.5 backpacks now instead of one.
Yeah, I feel you. When I started traveling, when I had to move back from China and I had like carry on luggage with like 30 something kilos and I sent 30 kilos more, I was like, hell no. Like not anymore. So next time I packed my life really, really, into one suitcase, because I'm a girl, like half of that was like shampoo and everything and makeup, but it was like okay, like because now I'm like so easy with stuff, I don't carry it around, like I'm just donating, I'm giving it away, I'm throwing it away. So there's no attachment to things rather than experiences, because I would wear the same outfit, okay, probably three in 2 days, then just bring like a suitcase, though I know a very good friend of mine, Maggie, would take 2 suitcases just to go, but she's extra bitch. It's another story. My question is like, how do you actually start like Nomad life? Because I think a lot of people, like even before the pandemic, were like trying to travel and work, but it's not that easy all the time, because obviously like sometimes it requires budget, sometimes it just requires a lot of connection. So how was that like for you? How did you start it?
Yeah, I mean, I found it relatively easy, but I only found it relatively easy because I've been doing business travel since I was 24 years old. So,
Okay.
and I'm what, 151 years old now. So,
Mm.
I am actually a bona fide vampire. So yeah. So for me, the travel part of it was very well practiced. And, I think it was Ashton Kutcher that once said, what people don't realize about an overnight success is the fact that there's been 10 years of hard work behind the scenes that nobody saw. And, people burst on the scene and or they look like an expert. Well, the reason they look like an expert is because they've been toiling at something for, thousands of hours and
Yeah.
nobody has
Yeah.
seen that. So, you know, it was very similar for me. I'd just been traveling so much since I was 24. I was doing 40,000 miles a year in a car, and I was doing like 60 to 70,000 miles a year on a plane.
Mm.
That's a lot.
Then over the last 5 years as a digital nomad, I was doing more like 160 to 180,000 miles on plane every year.
So your airplane miles are like up. You could just get free flights when you want.
You would think that, you would think
Okay.
that, but it turns out it's not that easy because, yeah, there's some alliances, but actually your points are spread out across so many different alliances and airlines, and you can't
Uh,
transfer them. That actually you just end up with a mediocre amount of points on a whole number of different platforms. And if somebody could please, anyone that's like listening to this, if somebody could please come up with a way to make it attractive for the airlines and build a platform so you can swap points between programs, that would be really nice. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
sound
actually
like a business deal right there. Business.
Yeah, I'm not going to build that startup. Somebody out there, please do
idea
it.
for an app. Idea for an app, definitely. Yeah. Thank
Exactly.
you, Stuart.
Yeah.
So yeah, the travel part wasn't the problem. The, the minimalism side of things, that was new for me. Um, I I just read a lot. I watched a couple of documentaries. I also, at that point, I'd completely changed the way that my mind works. Through daily meditation, I was very much at a point where I was just thinking about the now, what's in front of me, not worried about like the past or the future. And it's funny how that changes your brain chemistry and makes you think about life in a very different way. And I realized that actually I could get down to as little as having three of everything, because you can wear one whilst one is washing and there's one ready for tomorrow. And you
True.
can just cycle three things around. And if you combine these three things, you've still got a combination of hundreds of different outfits, right? So
Yeah.
I didn't get down to three of everything. I have more t-shirts when I can possibly handle. I mean, there's still only a stack of t-shirts, but that's
Still not much. Still
um,
less than my makeup, so that's the way.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then little tricks and tips and things, just making sure I could get everything down to as small as possible, as light as possible.
Hmm.
Um, when people would give me gifts, like speaker gifts and just like friend gifts, you know, if I knew it was coming, I'd ask them to make sure it was small, light, or flat. Um, if I didn't know it was coming, I would be very gracious about it, but I would explain to them that this will be going to a charity store before I leave because I can't take it with me.
Right.
But obviously the idea of giving me a gift is very gracious to me, and I really thank them. But I would let them know that it's going to go to charity so that somebody can
Yeah.
first of all love it, and second of all, charity can make some money.
Yeah.
I think at some point I started to collect, usually if it's like present, also like for me, it's like something small, but I think it's rather like alcohol. And I've started like back in the day collecting money from different countries. Well, I'm Ukrainian. Of course,
Oh
it's going
yeah.
to be alcohol. Alcohol and chocolate. Just throw into me and run away. I'm going to be good. So it's either like postcards or money. So like at least one type of currency from the country I've been to. I'm like trying to save up. And if I'm going somewhere and this like postcard like hits my eye, and I was just like, oh my God, I have to have it, I'm gonna definitely like buy it. Or if I'm like
You
sending something, I'm just doing it like to house to like my parents or whatever, so they gonna keep it, I know. But yeah, that's rarely the case. Decory, what about you?
I started I started collecting money from different countries. So I'm like, okay, I have money from this country, that country, this country. But I think now I want to start collecting magnets. I know it sounds crazy, but I want to do magnets. Because I have one from Portugal, I have one from Lisbon, or the same place, obviously. In London. Those are the only two, three I have. But money, I have money from like Hong Kong, Nigeria, Ghana, Senegal, these places in Africa that I've been. Um, so
Yeah,
I think I need to start doing magnets.
I used to take the coins into like a bank, or sometimes they've got those Coinstar money machines where you just drop them in and it gives you a voucher and then you can get the cash from the supermarket. But I'd keep the notes because, having all sorts of different notes. First of all, if I need to transfer them into something, you can transfer them because none of the bureau de change will change coins anyway.
Yeah.
And at least if you've got the notes, like I can land in any country and I've probably got some money in my pocket already. So, it's just useful to keep hold of that. I mean, I think once you've got your tactics and your strategies sorted out, really
Hmm.
then the only thing to do is just do it like everything else in life. Like the first time you swim, you got to jump in and see if you sink or not. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really what it comes down to. And at that point, just so focused on being present in the moment and not worrying about stuff and having a really sort of fairly stress-free existence, that it was just fairly easy for me to just go do it, see what worked, see what didn't work. I think of it like a marketing campaign. I know it sounds crazy, but in
I think it
marketing,
sounds exact to the point.
yeah, I mean, in marketing, you make a hypothesis, and then you test it, and you see if it works better than the existing. And if it does, you
Hmm.
keep it, and if it doesn't, you go back to what went before, and then you try a new hypothesis, and that's really it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
Um,
so
Go ahead, Igor.
I'm just saying this is like very interesting to me because I feel like this is something that I need to do. Like with my life, I want to do that. Like it's interesting. Um,
Yeah, and you should.
it's
It's just awesome.
I think I
I
heard
need to
it
save
from
some
my
money though.
friend back in the day. She was in her 50s, I think we're like 45-ish, when she moved to China. And she was like, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to do it, but I set myself a date and not just like set the date, but I bought myself ticket, one-way ticket, and that's it. So I had like half a year to prepare all the documents, all the visas I had, like find a job there, and I'm just like gone. And if you
Yeah.
guys like cannot do a steward it like within 2 weeks, if you like want to do this, just I think the setting the date and actually like purchasing something on that same exact date will push you to like actually do something about it. And I think it's really good mental like order into like start doing things.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, deadlines are really awesome things. You should have a deadline for everything in life because, even if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I've got plenty of time, I've got plenty of time, I've got plenty of time. Oh my God, how many minutes have I got left?
Yeah,
Um,
it creeps up on you.
because that deadline, it's like gamification. You will get it done if you've got a deadline. If you don't have deadlines for things, you'll just let it roll and roll and roll, and it'll never happen.
Yeah, definitely. And
Hmm.
speaking of stressless life, I mean, look at you, you like 152, you look 30. I think that's
You look
great.
good, guy.
Hey, you put one foot in the grave there. I mean, I'm only 151.
Oh, I'm
Not
sorry.
Oh,
152.
It's just like I'm 182, so like sometimes I get confused. I'm sorry.
We know that's not true. You already told me what your birthday was.
It's my actual age, like and which age is 30, so I'm like, I'm cool. But yeah, let's move on to actual like topic is dating a nomad. So
Yeah,
how's been your love life, your relationship life, or hookup life treating you while you're being a nomad?
yeah. I had to like. I mean, I was in a long-term marriage, monogamous, very loyal. Didn't stray or anything. And then, of course, I get to this traumatic time in my life where I knew I had to change everything, and um, that was a bit of an interesting one for me. It's like, okay, I know I want a nomad, and I know I don't want to be with anybody else for a while. I need to like just get back to me for a bit. But at some point, if I meet somebody, how's that going to work? Like, how am I going to have a relationship and bounce around the world? Because I'd already planned on bouncing around the world. I had all these events that were in my calendar. People needed me to be there on stage. How is that going to work? And so I talked to a lot of my friends, and especially my friends in like Seattle, San Francisco, LA, the West Coast people. And, that's when I basically took on the idea of changing from monogamous to polyamorous. And then, from there, it was really amazing how it happened. Like the first person that I met in Los Angeles just happened to be polyamorous too. We had a real spark and energy and fire between us, and she actually taught me so much about how to navigate that whole world. So over the course of 5 years, I ended up with many girlfriends in different countries and cities all over the world, and they were all polyamorous too. They also had other partners, and so it's not like they were sitting there waiting for me. They had people as well.
mhm.
And then we would spend time with each other when I was in that place, and actually was really beautiful. And what it taught me is, you know, a lot of relationships actually go down the tubes, and people break up because of things like wanting to control somebody or wanting to make them change, or all of these sort of mildly narcissistic activities. The worst sort of far reaches of that are when you have a partner who's, you know, gaslighting you, and you know they're basically making everything seem like it's your fault, and it's a control mechanism. It's very nefarious, and none of that exists in polyamory. None of it. You're not trying to control anyone. You're not trying to change anybody. You're basically trying to, you know, help your partner grow and be there for them and pick them up when they're down. And you know, I wrote a poem a little while back about the three types of love that I'm looking for in my next relationship, because you know, thanks to COVID, you know, we did all decide that it just didn't make sense to be romantically connected to each other anymore. So we're all best friends, but you know, I'm now officially single, and you know, I think for the next relationship, I might even go back to a monogamous relationship. I'm going to do it with a polyamorous mindset. And the three types of love are face-to-face love, and that's the easy one. That's what everybody thinks about when they think of love. They think of, you know, getting dressed up and going out together and sweaty makeout sessions and passion sex, all of that face-to-face love. And then you've got back-to-back love, which is where you're going into battle for each other and with each other against all odds, and making sure that, you know, you protect each other. But the one that's most difficult is the side-by-side love, and it's the one where a lot of people fall down. Side-by-side love is, you know, sweatpants and pizza and not caring about, you know, getting dressed up, and it's about supporting each other and helping each other to grow. And you know, I'd like to find somebody that I can have those three different types of love with, and that for me would be the basis of a super strong relationship.
You know, that you just opened my mind to a lot of stuff. It's just like my mind just exploded. I definitely need to read the poem. Do you have somewhere? You know, I need to read it. I want to read it. I definitely want to read
it. And I'm not sure I will yet. At some point I might, but I will make sure that you get to see it. Just
please. You know, you answered like a lot of our questions in that monologue you just had, and it was dope. I love it. You answered a lot of questions. Wow. It's so good. I'm just intrigued by this.
Don't cry. Okay. That was very like soul fulfilling. Now let's talk about nasty. I know you have questions. I have. Okay. Weirdest sex experience you've ever had? Like you were just like, damn, that's weird.
I mean, I'm not sure if it was weird or not, well, no. I mean, there've been a few like play parties where a lot of freaky stuff is going on all around me, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to kink shame anybody, or you know, or laugh or whatever. I mean,
no shaming, but it's just like something that you would be like, I'm not going to return to that.
Well, I'm not going to return to it, but like, I was at a play party where there were a bunch of furries in the corner. I'm like, all power to you, but it's just not my thing. I mean, I don't know, dressing up in a costume is not my deal.
Okay.
Question for you. My question was, I'm pulling it up. Where was the weirdest place you had sex?
Weirdest. Again, don't know if it was weird or not, but we did get down in a moving train, and there were public in the same carriage, so that was kind of interesting.
A moving train.
It was yeah. I mean, it was exciting because, you know, we were trying to keep it like keep it down so that nobody knew what was going on, but it was exciting because you just had that like, are we gonna get cool? Are we gonna get cool?
Yeah, it's the thrill. It's the thrill of the chase. You know, you're like, oh man, yeah. I get it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. What was your, like, not your favorite, but like, what is the, I would say, easiest country to hook up with someone? Like, you just landed. I mean, I think with Tinder, like any other dating app, it's like became super easy right away. But like maybe from your own experience, like you just like boom, or maybe without using dating app. That's even more interesting.
Well, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of dating apps, particularly Tinder. I think I think a lot of Tinder is pretty fake. You know, if people do write a bio, it's not normally an honest bio. I prefer people example of telling you exactly what they're looking for.
Field?
But when I used to land in Ukraine, before I would even get out of the airport, I'd have like 30 matches on my phone. So yeah, Ukraine was really good to me.
That's your country.
I'm not even surprised. I'm not even surprised.
What can I say? I
mean,
mean, you know,
yeah.
I'd land in Kiev, and you know, I'd have a date that night, yeah, for sure.
Right. Okay.
Wow.
I was pretty much expecting that, but you know, I was just I'm like I'm saying though, they're really, really friendly. I just see it. I mean, it is what it is. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't
exactly. I
say
mean,
the same for myself, for instance, but yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
yeah, most of the Eastern European countries were pretty similar.
Right. Well, yeah.
But conversely, you know, things like dating in San Francisco and New York is super tough and
I was about to ask you that. I was about to ask you because I'm from California. I'm from Los Angeles. So I was like, I'm pretty sure people like flock to your accent, right? Oh, you're
yeah,
from.
I mean, you know, that's the one thing I've got going for me. Is not just the accent, but the voice in general, and
Yeah.
it works well for me. But I still found it super tough in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's a lot of. I don't know. San Francisco is. I feel like the Bay Area in general is like a crazy place. So
Yeah, and the
I
competition's
understand.
super high, and everyone wants to date a founder that's had a $30 billion exit. And,
Yeah.
you know, you're rocking up saying you're only here for 5 days, and they're like, "Oh, Dusty, bye bye."
Yeah. Yeah. You don't own half of Facebook? Bye. Like, I get it.
What, you don't have a penthouse flat in the dog patch?
Yeah. Yes. 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 Silicon Valley, man. All that crazy.
Well, you know, like everyone has their own taste, anyways. But yeah, I think that was pretty much it that we wanted to talk to Stewart. Thank you very much for being here, for sharing your all the experiences. Like that's been very, very throughout and like full. Thank you very much, Stewart.
Thank you. I mean,
Yes. I'm sorry. I had fun. I learned a lot of things. Hopefully, you got a social media that I can add you and just keep in contact with you because I really love this conversation today. It was
yeah,
actually
you
pretty good.
bet. I mean, you can find me on pretty much every platform at The Real SJR. So TAGREAL SJR, The Real SJR.
We're
You
gonna
can find
leave
me pretty
some
much
links
everywhere.
below so everyone who feels like you want to get, you know, social mentoring through pictures and posts from Stewart, you can always do that. That was the Ghosted Wine podcast. Thank you very much for being with us, listening, watching us. Subscribe, hit notification bells, follow blah blah blah, RSS, Spotify, YouTube, and something else I forgot. Anyways, thank you very much again, Stewart. And that's a wrap. Yay!
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yo, man, that was good. I'm about to add you right now.